What's up, everybody? So we're back out in the shop with another daily vlog, and guys, it's time to put these handle scales on this knife. So what we're going to focus on today is primarily mounting the handle scales. So it's going to be getting them drawn out, getting them cut out, shaping the front where it meets the ricasso, you know, things like that. That's what we're going to focus on. If we have time to go ahead and shape the handle scales, I'll put that in here. If not, we will do that in next video. Now, the reason why I can focus so much on just putting the handle scales on is because, for one, there's a whole bunch of different ways to actually go through the process of mounting them. I'll get into it whenever we actually start mounting them. But what I want to tell y'all is that there's no real rules whenever it comes to knife making, like mounting handle scales and doing stuff like that. It really all depends on the processes that you want to do and what you think makes sense for the way that you make knives. The only real rules in knife making are the heat treat, the temper, stuff like that. You know, that's going to be the primary thing. Everything else is pretty much up to interpretation and what you feel like you want to do. You can shape them however you want. Hell, I could technically just smooth this front, leave them square, put them on here, and have that flat front on there if I wanted to do that. I don't have to shape this anyway or do any of that stuff. It's still going to be handles on a knife. The finish work, again, is completely up to you and how much work you want to do to the knife. It can be rustic. It doesn't have to be super high polished, super shiny, or anything like that. So what we're going to do, we're going to do what I feel like doing on these particular handle scales, on this particular knife, and go from there. Remember, the only rules really go to heat treat and temper, because that's going to be the longevity of the knife. Now, there's people that put their handle scales on and peen over their pins. There's people that take and they super glue these to this so they can shape them, and they fully shape them, and then they might use Corby pins. There's people that use regular pins. There's people that use all hollow pins. There's people that use mosaic pins. They do all kinds of different things. So just do what you feel comfortable doing when you're putting these on here. We're going to do it the way that I want to do it. Like I said, let's jump into it, get knocked out.
What we're going to go ahead and do here is get the scales all nice and squared up, and this is going to be pretty easy because the micarta scales by themselves were already really square and fit perfect with each other. But whenever we added the liners, it did add a little bit of extra wonkiness to it, as a technical term. Now, we want to go ahead, just get them squared, get them smoothed out, and the main thing we're really doing is getting the liners to be the same shape as the handle scales themselves right now. Really like this color contrast. I think this is going to look really good on a knife. Now, this is just double-sided Scotch tape. You can get this at Walmart. You can get it at almost any store. We're just going to put them together, and this just makes it to where they're real easy to keep square the whole entire time when we're taking the clamp off and putting it back on and doing all of that stuff. And speaking of clamps, what we're doing right here, we're getting the clamp put on the back end of it, and we're leaving these front two holes right here open and clear so that we can drill through them. We're drilling through with a 3/16 inch drill bit because that is the size of my pins. And of course we are going to be doing a lanyard hole as well. That's going to be 1/4 of an inch. Now we want to go ahead and smooth out the pins. We're smoothing out the fronts of them, or the tops, the ends, however you want to call it. And then we're actually rounding it over just a little bit so that they are easier to push into the holes as we are pressing the handle scales together. At this step, we're just drawing the outline of the knife where we're going to end up cutting back to on the porta bandsaw. And then what we'll end up doing is getting this all nice drawn out, and then start trying to figure out, okay, where are we going to put our ricasso area, so the piece that we're going to end up shaping that'll meet the ricasso, or the front of the handle scales. So I just marked a general idea of where I wanted it right there. And then I had an idea of how I wanted this to look whenever I made the template. And I want to really do this part, so we're going to draw it out a little bit and get an idea of kind of where we want it. And then we'll end up cutting back to it, sanding it, shaping it, and really making it look like what it looked like on the drawing. And there's no real measurements to this. This is purely freehand and, you know, going with what looks good to the eye. I do this most of the time whenever I'm making knives. I don't tend to have a whole lot of measurements. Now, of course, y'all know what we're doing here. We're cutting it out with the porta bandsaw. And I am cutting as close to the line as possible, because I don't feel like going through and reshaping these a little bit on the 2x72. I plan on just getting these put on here, and then I'll shape them once they're on the knife. But I am cutting all of the excess off so that there's almost nothing to shape. And that is what we're left with right there. Now it's time to go ahead and shape that front of the handle scales. This is the area that's going to meet the ricasso, like I was talking about before. You want to shape this completely and sand it completely before you glue these onto the knife, because you're not going to be able to work this area once it's on the knife. If you do try and work this area, you could almost guarantee that you're going to scratch your finish. Now I'm just rounding it over just a little bit, giving it a little bevel. I don't know, again, what degree this is. It's just me looking at it, knowing what my end result is supposed to be like, and just making it even. Again, I really like this color contrast. Now when it comes to hand sanding this, we're going to hand sand starting with 220 grit, then we're going to go up to 360 grit, then we're going to go up to 500 grit, and then 1000 grit. I, of course, am going to show you a good portion of this, but not every single grit, because that is just a whole bunch of me doing the same exact thing but with different grits of sandpaper. Now it's time to go ahead and do our glue up. So we're going to get this acetone and just wipe down everything. Make sure there's no buffing compound or any just oils from our hands on any of the pieces. We cleaned all the pins, cleaned the steel, cleaned the handle scales. Now it's time to use our JB Weld epoxy. This is the 5-minute epoxy. whenever we start doing this, we are going to go ahead and put epoxy in the holes themselves, just to make sure that it's got a good bond in there. And we're going to put all the pins in, and then we're just going to put a light coat of epoxy on the handle scales, because we're also going to do a light coat of epoxy on the handle tang of the knife. And then another light coat of epoxy. The reason why I keep saying a light coat is because you do not need to put a ton of epoxy on this. If you put a ton, it's just going to squeeze out and make a mess everywhere. You need just enough to create the bond. You don't need any more than that. And even with the light coat that I put on, I still had squeeze out. Whenever I was doing the clamp up, I saw that one of the pins was just recessed into the handle scales a little bit, and even though I might have ground it back to that, I needed to make sure that I got it to where I had the even amount on either side, just in case. Better safe than sorry. Now we're just taking acetone and paper towels, and we're cleaning the squeeze out off the front where the handle scales meet the ricasso. There you go. Handle scales put onto a knife.
Alright guys, let's go ahead and wrap up today's daily vlog. And guys, there we are. I know that this takes up a lot of the screen, but it's a big knife with the 3 clamps on it. Guys, check that out. I feel like this is going to look really cool. I dropped this down a little bit more than what I normally do, like to where it's a longer slope, because I wanted to show off as much of this texture right here as possible. And this handle is so long that it works. I mean, I'm going to get plenty of grip on there. I feel like that is just such a good looking contrast. And then of course, whenever you get up here and you can actually see that blue right there. Love the way this is turning out. Guys, tell me what y'all think about that. And if you had any cool takeaways from this video, hey, tell me about it. Guys, that's the end of this one. Give this video a thumbs up. Share this video, or a video I've done in the past that might be your favorite. And if you would, bottom corner, that's the knife. This one right here is the subscribe button. Press the subscribe button right there. Turn on the notification bell so you get notified when we shape these handle scales. Guys, thank y'all for coming by. Thank y'all for spending your time with me. Y'all have an amazing day. Stay safe out there. I'll catch y'all next time.